What's up, everybody? Let's Talk Jets Radio. Thank you to everybody that tuned into the live stream yesterday. Apologies to everybody that actually went out to MetLife Stadium, saw another single-digit point effort by this Jets offense. You got 10 offensive touchdowns in 11 games. You got no more than 13 points in your last 6 games. Pretty sure no touchdowns in 3 of the last 5 also. So things are just absolutely spiraling at this point. You start to reach that numb feeling, and somehow they find ways to do different things that still piss you off. You thought you hit rock bottom with Adam Gase, and still somehow they managed to spiral downward and get even worse. It's truly one of the more frustrating seasons that I feel like I've ever been a part of. Like with Gase, you kind of felt hopeless, but you also saw the light at the end of the tunnel. You knew he wasn't going to survive that second season, and there was going to be some big changes. With this, it almost just feels like, one, there's the frustration of throwing away the season when you had a playoff caliber defense, a defense that you also had last year, but we're missing the quarterback. So there's that element of it. But there's also the element of knowing that there's not really going to be any kind of change. This is all going to be run back. Salah's coming back. Hackett's coming back. Joe Douglas is coming back. I don't think that's in dispute by anybody. And they all get to fall back on the excuse of Aaron Rodgers, which, for a GM that's in year 5, he's had 4 full off seasons. Coach Salah's now in his 3rd full season. Using that as the excuse, like, this team has gotten worse. You had an opportunity this offseason, free agency, the draft, to add players, to have players have another year in your system. Like, at a certain point, you should be able to plug and play certain guys because your system is effective. That's what good coaching is. And obviously, they made changes on the offense. It was an offense that was built for Aaron Rodgers. Completely understand all that. But that's why it also highlights how egregious it was what Joe Douglas did when he made the decision to bring Zach Wilson back as the backup quarterback, knowing they were learning a new offense, an offense that still had to be changed like crazy to fit Zach Wilson. He had lost his confidence. The locker room quit on him. They wanted it to be a redshirt year for him. Knowing all these things, they were still comfortable with him as QB2. And, Saleh was even saying it, like, he gives us the best chance to win. I thought he was nuts. Turns out he might actually be right, because Tim Boyle looked even worse than Zach, and somehow Trevor Siemian looked worse than both of them. So congrats to Joe Douglas, because this is not and I told you so about Zach Wilson being great. This is a Joe Douglas, you just assembled the worst fucking quarterback room in the history of goddamn football. That's how bad it is. You got guys running open. Your quarterbacks can't even see him, can't hit him. That's how bad we are right now. And to make matters even worse, I get in the car, I'm coming home, getting ready to do my video, getting the talking points ready in my head for the shit that I wanted to say. And I hear Evan Roberts and Tiki going on about Zach Wilson. I'm like, why are we talking about Zach? Like, what happened now? Is he the starter again? What happened? So then I go on to Twitter, and I see the report from Zach Rosenblatt. I'm usually late on these things during the day, during the week. And I see that the Jets wanted to make a change at quarterback, either for yesterday. I was a little confused. Did they want to make the change yesterday, or was it about this upcoming Sunday? It seemed like it was about this Sunday, that they wanted to go back to Zach Wilson, or they do want to go back to Zach Wilson, but he's reluctant to play. Who the fuck is he? For all the issues right now that the Jets have with culture and accountability, and guys not fearing for their jobs, and guys going out there committing penalty after stupid penalty after stupid penalty, and nothing ever happens. Now you got this fucking kid in his 3rd year who's played like dog shit, one of the bottom 5 worst quarterbacks to be drafted in football history so far. Not all his fault, by the way, but still, the numbers are what they are. And he's going to tell you, thanks, but no thanks. If the New York Jets do not, if this report is true, if the New York Jets do not cut Zach Wilson today, they have a serious fucking problem. I don't care if you're doing him a favor by letting him start fresh, letting him pick his team, whatever it may be. And I still haven't listened to Saleh yet. I know he's supposed to talk in a few minutes. But if that report is true, that they offered him the job back and he said, no, thank you, fuck you, you're gone. You're not willing to play because the team's 4-8? You think it makes you look bad? You spent the whole season making everybody else look bad. Everybody's been trying to cater to you, to adjust the offense to you and to what you do well, to dumb it down for you. And still you couldn't get the job done. Now potentially they offer it back to you, and you still say, nah, I'm good. I'll wait for my shot in 2 years, 3 years somewhere else. Get him out of here. It is such a shame what the fans of this fan base are forced to go through week after week. It is such a shame for the season ticket holders. Again, another year. We're in December. It's early December. There's still 2 more home games left. Those tickets are worth nothing. They're worth nothing. The game yesterday, If you tried to sell them, they were worth nothing. Bad weather or not, nobody wanted to go. Nobody wanted to go to that game. I got offered club seats. Didn't want to go. That's the state of this team right now. If there was any other situation right now other than Aaron Rodgers coming back from injury next season to save everybody, if that scenario wasn't in place, I don't know how you don't clear house. GM, head coach, coordinator. They've all been terrible. They've all been terrible. You can't have one guy go down and that be your excuse for not being able to run an offense. And Saleh as the head coach, you don't get a pass just because your defense is good and you do nothing on the offensive side of the ball. You got to coach both sides. Make a change. Do something. You waited 11 weeks to make a change at the quarterback position. Still haven't made a change with the play caller. Do something. Do something. They allowed the exact same thing to happen that happened last year that tanked their season after a 6-3 start. The exact same thing. And again, that's where it ultimately falls on Joe Douglas. Because who knows how handicapped, Saleh is. Did he advocate for another quarterback? Did he ask for another one? Did he want to pull Zach, but he was told no? Like, there's so many things that we're not privy to that it's impossible to really answer about Saleh. Although you could definitely say the accountability, the penalties, all that stuff, like, it's got to fall on somebody. You're the head coach. But for Joe Douglas to allow this scenario to even take place, for it to even be a possibility, it's criminal. And it's going to fester in the locker room. You heard Mosley talking yesterday, the guys on defense, guys on special teams. We did our job. We knew what we were supposed to do. That's been the story all year. Special teams has done their job. Defense has done their job. And offense can barely put up a touchdown most games. Somehow, things have actually gotten worse from the Adam Gase years. You thought that was rock bottom. You thought this is as low as it could possibly get. The hopeless feeling and all that. The only thing that's different, again, Aaron Rodgers is coming back. 1 year, hopefully 2 years, and then after that, you have so many questions with this team. I know a lot can happen in a year or in 2 years, but to think that Saleh and Joe Douglas are either going to develop a quarterback or go out and pick up a veteran journeyman and win with that guy, like, it's not going to happen. To me, this year proved what these guys are without an elite quarterback to cover up their deficiencies. And this was something I said all offseason. It was one of the reasons that I wanted to aim high for a guy like Rodgers instead of just taking somebody like Derek Carr or a Tannehill or somebody like that. You get the average quarterback, you pair that guy with an average head coach, your results are going to be average at best. You get the elite quarterback, suddenly he can cover up a lot of the things that your head coach doesn't do. And that's what we need. And unless this team, this GM, this head coach, unless they have an elite quarterback to cover up everything else that they've missed on, I don't know where this team is going. This feels as low and as hopeless and as frustrating as any time that I could possibly remember. Because once again, you have a defense that's ready to go to the playoffs, that's playing like it week after week, but we can't score any friggin' points, and it's been the same goddamn story every single week. Talk to you guys tonight.